Alrighty folks, thanks for clicking on this video. James Cards FC here, and today, October 31st at time of recording and probably at time of uploading, I'm going through the Fireside chat for this month. It is Halloween today. Later today, I'll be going out and doing the whole trick-or-treating nonsense that will be going on outside my apartment. My dog will be dressed up in a pumpkin costume. It'll be a lot of fun. But other than that, just wanted to do a quick review of basically some topics that I want to talk about from the month of October as we look into November. No real structure to this. As you know, the Fireside chats are more of just a more informal what's going on in the market, what's on my mind sort of thing. So don't take anything that I say in these sorts of videos to be any set in stone, data driven sort of thing. These are just my basic observations, and we'll have more of a casual conversation of what I've been thinking about this past month, and then as we go into next month as well, with next month being one of the biggest months of the past few years for the stock card market, being the 2022 World Cup. So without further ado, let's jump into the first topic here, which is that I recently ruined a $1,500 card. Yeah, really disappointed in myself on this one. So basically what happened is I had bought this purple Mbappe treble card out of 49. Really beautiful card in person. I've had a few Mbappe trebles before in purple, and this one was actually in the best shape of any of them that I'd ever gotten raw, and so it's even more disappointing that what ended up happening to it. So the story goes that I bought this on Facebook a few months ago from Turkey, I believe, for $1,500, and it shipped here again 3 or 4 months ago at this point. I sent it off to PSA, and it got caught in a 2 or 3 month delay there. Well, not delay, that's just how long it takes to grade certain things. So it was a PSA for a few months, and it came back as being unable to grade due to it being recolored. I've talked to a few other people on DMs about the treble cards and how PSA sometimes labels them as being recolored when that's not actually the case. So I went ahead and cracked it, or actually I didn't need to crack it since they gave it back to me in a card saver, but I went ahead and took it and then shipped it out to SGC to get it graded by them. And obviously if SGC didn't grade it, then I knew I was going to be in some big trouble, and this card was actually recolored, and I might have to go through some sort of PayPal process to get my repayment. But no, that ended up not being the case. The card is fine, it's authentic. But there is now a large issue with the card, and that issue that you can see is the issue right here. There is now a massive scratch on the front surface of the card. That was obviously not there when I submitted it to SGC. When I checked the population report and saw that I'd been given an SGC3, I was extremely confused, but then the pictures were uploaded the next day and I noticed this massive scratch right here and was very, very disappointed. So I was holding out hope that perhaps the scratch was on the case itself and not the card, but I did get it in hand just a few days ago, and yes, there is now a giant scratch here that didn't used to be there, and there's also a smaller scratch up here that didn't used to be there when I submitted it. So I don't blame SGC in this case. What I assume happened is I packaged this within bubble wrap and then put it in a bubble mailer that was also bubble wrapped and then shipped it out to SGC. At least in my opinion, something probably happened with the package where honestly don't even know. Maybe it got run over by another car, or got smashed between a couple other boxes. No idea. Something, in my opinion, would have happened in shipping, and then when it got to SGC, it was already ruined. And so no harm, no foul on their side. They were just grading the card that they got. Just really unfortunate that it probably went from like an SGC 9 or 9.5 all the way down to an SGC 3. And so now I'm stuck with this disastrous Kylian Mbappe purple treble card. So really disappointed in that. Thankfully, I do still have a PSA 9 in my collection that I'm holding, but this SGC 3 is now in very unfortunate shape, and so I'll look to offload that. I saw there was actually a somewhat decent comp on a SGC 3 blue, so if whoever bought that also wants to have an SGC 3 purple, I'll be listing this on eBay within the next few days or weeks. So really sad about that. What you should take from this and what I should take from this is to be a lot more careful in shipping your cards out, especially when you're shipping them out for grading. Like I said, I put it in bubble wrap and then within a bubble mailer and then shipped that off. I've never had an issue before, but unfortunately this was the case where I had my first issue. So from now on, I'll be putting my packages inside of more packages and inside of more packages just to be completely sure that I don't get screwed like I did here. Yeah, just a really unfortunate situation, but as a reminder to myself and to everybody that is shipping cards, please be very, very careful with what you're shipping, because you don't want to end up with a situation like this. So That was an unfortunate thing that happened to me in October just recently. Another thing that happened recently that I wanted to talk about was the 2022 Prizm World Cup checklist just got released a few days ago, and so it's a 300 card base checklist, and this is the biggest checklist product of the year. As you know, 2014 Prizm is one of the most well-respected, well-regarded sets in the market, and from a historical standpoint, it really brought soccer to the mainstream modern age, especially for the American audience. So, very well-regarded set. It only comes out every 4 years. The 2018 set is really popular because of Kylian Mbappe. 2014, the historical nature of the set, and now we move on to 2022, where I'm not honestly exactly sure what to make of it yet. So I think a lot of it depends on who ends up winning the tournament. I think if England wins the tournament, Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham Prizm cards will go for crazy prices. If Germany wins the tournament, Musiala Prizm cards will probably go crazy, similar to Mbappe. If Brazil wins the tournament, Vinicius Jr. probably goes expensive. If the United States goes really deep, perhaps some of the players on that team, their first World Cup Prizm cards get pretty crazy in low numbers. But in terms of a general checklist review, nothing much really to say at this point. It's 300 card checklist. It's huge. You have some rookies, or Prizm rookies if you want to call them those, that are on the checklist, like Skov Olsen, like Julian Alvarez, guys that I talked about in my previous video that don't have a lot of cards out there. Those Prizm cards could be really, really big for them because they just don't have a lot of stuff right now. But that's pretty much my mind on the checklist. I don't really see much hype in the insert sets, whether that be the they're not called downtowns in soccer, they're called something else. It's completely slipping my mind. National Landmarks. National Landmarks is back. There's some new players on that checklist. It's interesting, but with the fact that the set's not numbered and those could appear in more bunches in the future, I'm not too excited about it. The manga insert, not too excited about. The color wheel insert, not excited about. Again, all these non-numbered sort of case hit insert stuff, I'm not really that excited about. Really, what you're looking for, at least in my opinion, in Prizm, is the lower numbered cards of the mainstream young kids in the checklist, or some of the guys like Messi. Should Messi win the World Cup, his 2022 World Cup Prizm, I think, would be pretty valuable in the long run future, especially lower numbered parallels. But enough about the checklist itself. What I really want to talk about is the parallels. There are a lot of parallels. I didn't do the math just because this is an informal video, but I think there's 30 or 40 different parallels in the checklist, obviously way more than there have been in the past. My main gripe with the checklist is the fact that they have pretty much ruined the true color premiums. The red, the blue, the purples, all of those are now higher numbered than Purple Wave, Blue Wave, and Red Mojo and things like that. So, for example, red I think is numbered out of 399, but red mojo is numbered out of 75. Double check me on the numbers, but I know it's some sort of discrepancy like that. I really don't like that, just because I've talked about in previous videos. I really prefer true colors, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So to force the red mojo to be lower numbered, but I still think red will probably get the premium over it because it's a true red, I don't really like that with the checklist. They also removed Green Crystal, which had been a historical color. It's now no longer in the checklist, even though it appeared in 2014 and 2018. Gold Power, which used to be numbered out of 5, are now numbered 1 of 1. There are now black. There, of course, are still black 1 of 1s, so there's 2 1 of 1s there. Then I think there's 2 more 1 of 1s with the other editions of the set. There's like a Breakaway 1 of 1 and a Nebula 1 of 1. So now there's 4 1 of 1s for every card. Don't really like that. So I don't really like the parallels on the checklist. Again, as I've said in previous videos, I would prefer to target the true colors, but with the fact that they made true colors onto higher numbered parallels is really unfortunate in my opinion. So not sure what to make of the checklist. I'll wait and see what happens with the pricing when these things release. Obviously, unless you're playing a really prospecty gamble type play on low numbered stuff, you're going to want to wait, preferably until after the tournament is completed, to go ahead and pick up the cards that you want for different players. So if you want to pick up some, I don't know who's a player, if you want to pick up some Christian Pulisic, or if you want to pick up some Jude Bellingham, wait until their team is out of the tournament, give it a few weeks, and then start going for those cards, because they will be ripped in bunches. There will be a lot on eBay. Just take your time. Whenever these products first come out, they will be really, really expensive as they hit the secondary market. Not to mention there's going to be a lot of priced in effects because the tournament hasn't been played yet. So at least what I'll be doing, because yes, I will be buying cards from this Prizm set, I'm going to be waiting until after the World Cup is over, and I would suggest, if you are looking at this more in the long-term sense than a short-term gamble sort of play, you should do the same and just wait it out and wait for the prices to reach their new bottoms. So let's move on to the next point here, which is PSA is soft now. So this is a bit of a tinfoil hat theory here. Not sure if I should even post this part, but I got a recent submission back from PSA, or at least I know my results of a PSA submission, and in the next couple days, I'll go ahead and get that shipped back to me, and I'll be able to do a video on the cards that I got back. So if you've been on this channel for a while, 3 or 4 months ago, I did a PSA submission preview of some pre-modern cards and stickers. It was 57 different cards and stickers, all pre-modern, that I submitted out to PSA 3 or 4 months ago at their value level service. I now know the grades for those, and I was shocked at how well they graded. So I went back and looked at the video, and there are specific things like Messi and Ronaldo inserts where I was saying things like, I think these are probably PSA 8s. I think this is probably a PSA 8 or 9. Getting a 9 on this would be pretty crazy. And a lot of those cards that I said that about ended up gemming and getting PSA 10s. And so I was shocked by that. Usually I am not as harsh as PSA is, and I've submitted well over 1,000 cards at this point to PSA. So for me to be shocked by a positive result is something that I did not expect. I know other people as well have started saying things like, oh, PSA seems like they're grading softer than they used to. So I'm not sure if that is just anecdotal evidence. I sent out a poll on my Instagram a little bit earlier today asking people, if you got a recent submission back from PSA, how did it go? And the majority of people either say that it was as expected or was better than expected. I think 60 to 70% of people said that, while another 20 or 30% said that it was worse than they expected. So at least anecdotally, it seems like PSA might be grading softer right now. I don't know what's put into that. PSA, in my opinion, it's not objective, right? Grading is subjective. It depends on the person that you submitted it to and how they want to look at different things. If there's a small whitening on the back corner, do they grade at a 9 or do they grade that a 10? If there is edge wear, do they grade that an 8 or do they grade that a 9? That will change or could change from grader to grader, and since it is not a purely automated objective computer system, there's no way for us to be 100% sure that a PSA 10 is a PSA 10 and a PSA 9 is a PSA 9, especially on modern and pre-modern cards when the difference between an 8, 9, and a 10 can be so small. Those grades, at least in my opinion, can get pretty murky. 9s and 10s can really get no idea what's going to go on there between those two, depending on what the defects are. And then 8 and 9, again, another tough one to determine between. So not sure what's going on there. In my opinion, PSA feels kind of soft right now, at least from what I've been expecting. And in a few other people's opinions, PSA seems soft. But overall, it could all just be anecdotal evidence, and we're not exactly sure what's going on. But in my opinion, yeah, I think PSA might be a bit soft right now. Not sure what to make of that in the long run. I keep going back to the idea that true rarity and even numbered rarity is going to end up mattering even more and more, because we say PSA is soft, but it's more just subjectivity and grading. So if you want to go for things that are actually rare, you don't have to deal so much with the subjectivity and grading aspect to make sure it's valuable. Whereas with base cards, the difference between a 9 and a 10 is a huge amount of value, but as you get into rarer and rarer cards, the difference between the grades usually become less and less. So just an interesting note there on what's going on with grading and what I've seen. I will have a PSA submission reveal video at some point in the next week or two as I wait to get that submission back. I'm very excited to show off some of the grades I got because they're really, really good, but do they deserve those grades? I'm not 100% sure, but obviously I do not work at PSA, and my opinion doesn't really matter on the matter. So with that being said, I'll move into the final topic here, a World Cup announcement. So obviously the World Cup is coming to us very, very shortly, within the next 3 or 4 weeks, which is just wild to think about after all this lead up and all this hype we've had. The World Cup is finally going to be here. And if you went ahead and saw my Instagram post a few weeks ago, I will actually be at the World Cup for a couple weeks in Qatar. I'm super excited to be doing this. I will be going to a bunch of different matches. I will be there on the final match day of the group for the United States. So they will be playing against Iran, and I will be going to that match in the U.S. supporters section and hopefully watching the U.S. qualify for the knockout phases, or being very depressed watching them not qualify for the knockout phase. So I'll be going to that game, and then I will be there for that following week, all through the end of the round of 16 before returning home to the United States. So hopefully I'll be watching 2 United States men's national team matches. But yeah, super excited to be going. I'll be seeing a lot of different teams. I'll probably do some sort of vlogging content because I think that'd be really cool to show how an American is traveling to Qatar and participating in the World Cup. And if any of you guys are interested in that sort of thing, I'll probably put up a video or 2 on my channel about it. So I'm really excited to be going. What that means for cards, I have no idea, but I'll be having a lot of fun there. My activity in the market will probably be slowed, but I really cannot wait to head out to Qatar and watch a few matches, and then obviously when I come back home, watch the semis and the quarters and the final and all that fun stuff that will be coming with the World Cup as we move through the holiday season. So get ready for some sort of content in regards to that. Not sure exactly what it's going to be, probably more vlogging based. Not sure how to structure it, but as the tournament approaches, I'll probably get a better idea of exactly what I want to be doing, and we'll have some content there. So with all that being said, I think that'll go ahead and conclude the Fireside chat for October of 2022. As I look forward to November, I actually have 2 other videos that are in this exact same slideshow that you're seeing right here that I'm going to record today, or at least hopefully have time to record today and then release those throughout this next week. So rest assured, more content is on the way. I have 1 soccer video in this presentation, and I have 1 other sports video in this presentation. So a little bit of variety on the channel coming very soon, and obviously the soccer focus will continue as we move forward to the World Cup itself. So as always, I thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are closing in on, I haven't checked in a few days, but I think we're around 900 subscribers now. Hopefully we can hit 1,000 by the World Cup, and then who knows where we will go from there, but I definitely appreciate it. All the support is great. Feel free to reach out to me. You have my Instagram, I think, in the description, and I look forward to continuing to produce content for you guys and staying involved in the hobby, because it is sure as a heck of a lot of fun as I stumbled through my words as I try to complete this. It's actually a lot harder to do these sort of videos where I don't have an exact slide with notes that I want to cover. When it's just me and the camera and 1 still image, it's a lot more difficult, but I appreciate you guys for sticking through it. And I will see you guys in the next video, which is actually somewhere in this slideshow. And then, of course, I will see you guys in November for the Fireside chat that we will have then. Thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your day and a great Halloween evening.